Right, I haven't done one of these for a while, but I think it's time for another Shithead Man from History. And this one's really difficult for me because I like a lot about this man, I do. The romantic poet and radical Percy Bysshe Shelley. He was a dreamer, he was a revolutionary, he was an atheist, he wanted political upheaval and social change. The problem is that tends to leave an absolute wake of chaos, broken hearts, illegitimate children, and a whole load of mess. And that's exactly what it did, because it's great being a rebel, but this series is largely told from the point of view of the people that had to live with the rebel, i.e. the women, the people that had to work out, well, that's great, love, but like, what are we going to have for tea? Trying to work out who's going to pick the kids up with the rebel, you know what I mean? Percy is born in 1792, and he's the son of a baronet, so ka-ching! He has an alright childhood. He's quite an odd kid, actually. Very kind of introverted, but also interested in the occult. Quite bonkers stuff, but he starts making ways for himself when he gets to Oxford University. Because he becomes an atheist, and then he thinks that's really, really important, and everyone else should be an atheist. So he writes a pamphlet called The Necessity of Atheism, and posts it to a load of bishops, and then he's promptly thrown out of Oxford. See, I can see why women were seduced by him. Like, everyone loves a bad boy. And one of the first women, I say women, the first girls to have fallen in love with Percy Bysshe was a very young girl, 16 years old, called Harriet Westbrook. And Percy, who is 22, absolutely love bombs her. He's obsessed with her, and he convinces her to run away with him and get married. Now, Percy was a big believer in free love. Oh, yes. But the fucking problem with free love, especially in the 18th century, is no fucker else believes in it. And he has ideas that, you know, that he'll get married, but they'll all have lovers and they'll kind of live in this big sort of commune and everybody will be doing everyone else. And it's just, Percy, no. And it's a disaster. His parents cut him off and her parents cut her off. So they have no money at all. And pretty soon into this marriage, he's already having affairs left, right and centre. And he's moving his family. His wife Harriet gave birth to a baby girl. And they have to move all over the country because they're constantly fleeing creditors. And when he does get some money, he just spunks it up the wall on something completely mental. Like, well, it wasn't mental, but, you know, you've got a young wife and a baby, don't do that. He got a little bit of money and he decided he was going to go over to Ireland and stir up a revolution there. Like, just Percy. And then in 1814, Percy meets this girl, the 16-year-old Mary Godwin, daughter of Mary Wollstonecraft. And she has the hots for him like you wouldn't believe. In fact, both of her young sisters do as well. Her stepmother writes in a diary that she's really worried about the attentions of this kind of slightly mad poet with all of these 3 girls in the house. And for bloody good reason as well, because Mary and Percy keep sneaking off together and they hang out at the grave site of her mother, and that is almost certainly where Mary lost her virginity. Percy writes about it in his diary the next day, saying that day will forevermore now be his real birthday. And he convinces the 16-year-old Mary to elope with him. And Mary's stepsister Claire. So he takes these 2 teenage girls and they go to France, which is in the middle of a sodding war, leaving behind his wife, who is now pregnant, Harriet, and their child. But when he gets to France, he actually writes to Harriet asking if she would like to come and live with him and Mary and Claire. She did not. Mary is quickly pregnant and gives birth prematurely to a girl who dies. Harriet, back in England, gives birth to a baby boy who's now Percy's actual heir. And everybody is sure that Percy is actually knocking off the sister Claire, as well as several other women as well. This is Claire. And then Byron enters the scene, the poetic bad boy Byron, and he starts knocking off Claire. During this time, Mary is pretty much constantly pregnant. Eventually they return to England, where they find out that Fanny, Mary's other sister, has killed herself. And Harriet, Percy's wife, has also drowned herself. She was pregnant at the time. Mary's father, William Godwin, insists now that they get married to attempt to reclaim some of the reputation that's been damaged, and they duly are. Now that stops Percy with his wandering eye and his wandering willy. But Mary did find time to write the novel Frankenstein, which, when you actually break it down, does tell the story of a very romantic, very intense young man who is so obsessed with his lofty, noble aims that his entire family is destroyed and everyone around him dies. Funny that. The Shelleys go off to Italy, but Percy goes on ahead, and he places a huge amount of pressure on Mary to travel across Italy with their baby daughter Clara to meet him there. And she eventually gives in and does that, but on the journey the baby girl becomes sick and dies. And this is a weird thing. Later that year, Percy shows up with a baby girl and he has this baby registered and she's called Elena and no one knows where the fuck this baby came from. Some people think it might have been Claire's baby, some people think it might have been a random baby, but it was clearly his way of helping his wife when their baby daughter died. Just, here you go, have another one. And then that baby died in 1820. In fact, of the 4 children they had together, 3 died. More affairs, more illegitimate children, and in 1822, the silly bugger drowned. He was only 29 years old. His body was cremated, but his heart wouldn't burn and it was pulled out of the fire and given to his wife, who kept it for the rest of her life. And that's Percy Bysshe Shelley. Romantic, rebel, revolutionary. You wouldn't want to fucking live with it, would you?